Hello, everybody. Welcome to Little Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video. And I'm trying to hit 25K subscribers, so it would be much appreciated. I keep mixing up my intro for this channel and Rusty Buckets. But yeah, the Denver Nuggets just absolutely blew the Clippers out of the water in game seven in a way that has me rethinking them in the landscape of the rest of the league. The big thing that stood out to me is that Jokic put up 16 points in this game and won. He actually played the least, besides for he was the second least played starter. Michael Porter Jr. played 30 minutes and he played 32, and then Aaron Gordon 35, Brown 36, Jamal 41. Dude, getting that kind of rest for him in this situation is remarkable, but especially it's the volume. 16 points. He had 13 points in one of their other wins, and that's been the big thing that has made me just kind of be out on the Denver Nuggets is there's just not enough help here. There's not enough guys who are really willing or able to step up to the plate. And well, in this game, Jokic's 16 points was tied for the second least amount of points out of of all the guys who got double digits. I'm saying this in a dumb way. There were six players who had 16 points or more: Westbrook, Murray, Brown, Jokic, Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr., with Gordon having the high of 22 points. Just an insanely well distributed scoring here. Like, this is the best I have seen them play as a team. This is the best I've seen the roster beyond Nikola Jokic play since they won a championship in 2023. It's really hard to think of a game where you got this many good performances out of everybody. Not only did those guys all score 16, like Peyton Watson was awesome in this game. 4 for 4 from the field, hit one of his three-pointers, got an offensive board, one steal, one block, 9 points in 17 minutes. Like, that's some really effective shit from him. And he's been a player who's been, usually bad in this series, not in a way that I'd like is morally his fault, but just that he's not ready for it really. And I don't know that he ever will be, given that he's been in the league long enough and had like 3 years of this. However, he was very good in this game. So that's a positive sign. Russ, can we talk about Russell Westbrook's 3-point shooting for a bit, dude? He's over 40% on 5 attempts per game for this series. I don't know what his averages will look like after this game, where he went 2 for 4, which, if you didn't know, is 50%. But before this game, actually, this isn't. He missed one of the games. Never mind. He's taking 5.5 of them per game in this series, and he's shooting 40%. And it'll be even higher, slightly lower volume after this game. That's nuts. It's mostly corner three-pointers, and that's largely been a revelation for him. And it's weird. It's a very weirdly vindicating thing, because it's something that I have said for a while, which is that Russ is a remarkably good corner three-point shooter in terms of relative to where he is the rest of his career. And that started to get explored a little bit towards the tail end of him on the Lakers, and then it especially was the case on the Clippers, where he suddenly went from his career being around 10% of his threes coming from the corner to 38. This year before that, he was at 40, and he is at 35% this year in the regular season. In the playoffs, 50% of his threes have been corner threes, and not counting this last game, he shoots 46% on those. That is massive. They were giving him the threes for the most part, but he was even hitting ones that they weren't really giving him. Christian Brown, 21 points, 8 for 15, 3 for 5 from 3. What the hell, dude? That's such a good performance. He had a good game, the last one or the one before it. I don't remember which, but he hasn't been consistently scoring the ball well. Uh, Aaron Gordon, I think he's just straight up a good mid range shooter. Can we say that? I have no idea what his averages are, but the vibes are suggesting that his mid range numbers are great. Let's look at his playoff shooting numbers. So, yeah, from 10 to 16 feet, he's at 67%. On long twos, he's at 0%. However, that's 4% of his shot. So That's probably only a couple of attempts. But yeah, 67% from 10 to 16. Also 54% from floater range. Like his three ball was a little disappointing. He went 0 for 3 in this one. He was at 33% before that. So it's definitely not what it was in the regular season because he shot like 46% or some shit. But yeah, crazy hot mid range shooting from him. Crazy hot 3-point shooting from Russ throughout this series. And giving some credit here, like Jamal Murray, 16 points on 15 shots isn't very good. But I think what was key is that he was doing a lot of his scoring when Jokic was off of the floor. Like there was a moment of Jokic off of the floor in the first half where I believe in the second quarter, if I'm not, I can't look at the quarter stats right now, but I believe Jamal held held the ship, and if anything, elevated the score there. And then towards the start of the fourth quarter, I think maybe tail end of the third, Jokic sat and he just hit like 4 shots on like 6 possessions, was driving to the basket a lot, hit some tough ass mid range jumpers. Like I can't give him too much crap for his overall efficiency because I think he did what his job is, which is just to keep the offense alive when Jokic is off of the floor. Speaking of Russell Westbrook, dude, like he doesn't have to shoot this well from three, but if he's at least a strong enough corner 3-point shooter that defenses start to really respect it, which I think they have every reason to, then that's going to significantly boost the level of impact that he can have because he can still do the ball handling stuff that he does, but you're going to, when he is playing off ball, he's still providing something valuable. Let's see, shooting. This year, he is at, yeah, he's at 44% on corner catch and shoot threes this season. That is really something else, man. That is really something else. Wow. Yeah, he's a career 33% from the corner. When you compare that to the rest of his career percentage, which is 30%, it's a little bit better. But wow, definitely a career high in that department. 44% on corner threes. Actually, he shot 44% in LA, but very briefly. Anyways, we're done with that. Let's talk about the disaster from the Clippers. Denver did a great job, and I think that if they can even kind of capture the energy of this game regularly, then they are a lot more interesting and could potentially pose more of a threat to the Thunder than I would have guessed. But Kawhi Leonard had a good shooting performance, but it felt like late when he wanted to turn it on. He just didn't have that available to him. It was not something that he could get to. He was not able to really get to his spots as much as you would like. Derek Jones Jr. scored the ball well inside the arc, but I'm just kind of tired of wing role players, like bona fide role players who cannot shoot. I tweeted it and I deleted it because there was clearly some confusion on what I meant. Guys like Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon, like dudes who are top 4 or 5 most important players on your team, it's a little bit different. But when I'm talking about a guy who is supposed to just not really do anything on the offensive end of the floor, if one of the things that he can't do is at least be a respectable enough shooter that the defense will pay attention to them, then I don't really want that role player. Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., like dudes who are going to be your 7th, 8th, 9th man, even your 6th man often, like, God, dude. Ugh. I mean, Dunn hit one of his 2, but it's like, even if these guys are hitting their shots, like 16 minutes from Dunn, he took 2 3-pointers. Think of how many possessions transpired over those 16 minutes. Think of how his lack of spacing ability impacted the defense. Like a lot of the time, people will just look at percentage when it's completely wide open threes, and it's like, yeah, he shot 50% in this one, but more possessions than not, he hurt their spacing. It's not just about what percentage you shoot on the threes that you get. It's about being a consistent and good enough 3-point shooter that the defense actually respects you and makes that shot considered a good shot. Defenses live with shots that they don't consider a good shot going in. And I felt like the Clippers were just way too okay conceding that in this game, in this series. Like they saw their most success in there was the game that they lost before game 5. they went down kind of big and they started to make a little bit of a push because they closed with Bogdanovich. And though I don't even think he hit a three, at the very least, the defense respected his shooting and played tight on him, which meant that the spacing was great and the offense played a lot better. And I don't know why they didn't try to do that more in the towards the tail end of this series, because it seemed like a kind of eureka moment. I think they even did they not start the game did they not start game 6 with that lineup? No, they didn't. They still started Dunn, but they played Bogdanovich 20 minutes, and then Nick Batum played 34. Yeah, dude. I really loved the Clippers this year. This Clippers team is really fun. I'm really sad that they went out in this manner. A funky diabetic put it best. He tweeted at the end of the day, "They are the Clippers." Yep, they are the Clippers. That is true. And no amount of fun roster construction can change that. Last thing I'll touch on, James Harden, 2 for 8, 7 points. The game 7 curse never seems to end with him. He's had some good game 7s, but mostly duds, mostly dramatic underperformances that, you know, I can't really say, even though I do think he's an all time great player. I think he's one of the 40 greatest players who's ever played this game. It's really hard to argue with people who don't feel that way when every time you get to a pivotal game, this is what you do. 13 assists is nice, and it's not quite the same as doing something like this when he was in his prime, because like those Rockets teams relied on him for scoring more so than this Clippers team does. But this Clippers team relies on you to score more than 7, at least. Like, at least get into the 15-point range at the bare minimum. But no, no, did not happen in this one. And Zoo was pretty good. Norman Powell was not very good. Bogdanovich was actually really good. I think some of that was garbage time minutes though. So maybe not. Kobe Brown, 13 points in 8 minutes, 6 for 7 shooting. Hey, I didn't even see it because I turned the game off, but good for him. Wow, what a game. I did not expect this series to end in a blowout. I'm a little disappointed because I would have loved a close game 7. Hopefully, the Warriors and Rockets can give us that. I did say I might live stream this game. I decided not to because of that other game 7. I am, again, not promising because I don't know, but I probably am going to stream Warriors Rockets game 7. Yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.